On Hammers Chat, we reject most transfer rumours, don't we? I think that's fair to say. The transfer rumours come along, we'll discuss them for the sake of it, we'll pick them apart, we'll dismiss them, and we'll move on to the next transfer rumour. But last night's report, I believe it to some extent anyway. I think there is definitely some element of truth behind this. There's one or two things that make me a little bit wary, but there's far more things that make me believe it than not believe it. And that is that West Ham have had an 18-month loan move rejected for Brazilian striker Gabriel Barbosa. Now, you've definitely heard of this player. That's part of the reason I believe it, and also don't believe it. Get into that in a minute. But the reports have suggested that West Ham have bid £5 million to get him on loan from 18 months from Brazilian club Flamengo, and that's been rejected straight away by the Brazilian club. They don't want to loan him out, certainly not for 18 months anyway. So it's back to the drawing board for West Ham. Now, the first reason I believe this is because of the two big sources over here that are reporting it. The first of all, we've got Dharmesh of Sky Sports. Now, we're a little bit biased on Hammers Chat when it comes to Dharmesh now. He came on the channel in the summer and he did two videos. The first one was about Kurt Zouma. He was ahead. He was the one that was reporting what was going on between West Ham and Kurt Zouma. It turned out to be true. We signed him. He was correct with that. So even if you don't trust Sky Sports or Dharmesh himself, that's fine. But one thing I think you have to sort of acknowledge is that he got the Kurt Zouma stuff correct in the summer. Then he did another video which he basically explained how it works, how he is Dharmesh, so what goes on in the background prior to him giving out information on Sky Sports, who he contacts, and just how he sort of validates what he's heard, if you like. And I think that added a little bit of credibility to him, in my opinion anyway. So he was reporting this last night, that West Ham had bid for Gabigol on loan. But also the second one is Fabrizio Romano. Now, he's probably the most popular one at the minute. He's the most popular source, the biggest journalist on Twitter anyway, and he's quite safe. I found what he usually does, he waits till it's correct and then puts it out. I think a lot of people, a lot of journalists want to be first rather than correct. I think being first is more important than being right. But with Romano, I think it's the other way around. I think he values being right more than being first. So he's not always first to break the news. Quite often he's very rare he's first to break the news, but he only puts his name to it if he thinks it's authentic, and he's done just that as well. He's gone a little bit further than Dharmesh. Dharmesh reported the interest from West Ham in Gabigol, but Romano is the one that sort of suggested that it's been rejected and went into a bit more detail by saying it was an 18-month loan move for £5 million been rejected, and there's sort of nothing else on the table presently. Now, during the night, I woke up this morning, the press over in South America have been reporting the exact same thing. That's another reason I believe it. The consistency between the reports, it all adds up. Usually when a player is linked to a club, there's discrepancies between each journalist, isn't there? The transfer fee might be slightly different. Some might be saying they want to buy them, some might be saying they want to loan them. Even the ones that are saying it's loan, there's sometimes discrepancies in that. Some are saying it's a straightforward loan move, others are saying there's an obligation to buy at the end of it, kind of thing. There's usually holes in the reports, but with this one, it's consistent between South America, between Romano, between Dharmesh. They're all reporting the same thing. West Ham want him on loan for 18 months for £5 million, and that's been rejected. Now, there is one or two things. Well, let's start with the reason you've heard of him. We've been linked to him for years. For, I don't know, 5 years now maybe. We're going back to like 2017 or something when he's 20 years old. We were linked to him back then. More so 2 years ago when we had Pellegrini at the club. That was when it really heated up, because it felt like we were at an advanced stage of negotiations with him to some extent, that we were inquiring about the possibility of getting a work permit for Gabigol at West Ham, and that was unlikely. He hadn't represented Brazil enough at this stage. His work permit wouldn't be granted, and it either wasn't pursued or we did pursue it and we got to the work permit stage and just gave up, if you like. It's one of the two. But his name's been round for years with West Ham United. The difference between then and now is the work permit. He's now represented Brazil probably enough in order to get that work permit stamped and make a move into the Premier League. Copa America in the summer, he featured adequately, probably. He was off the bench quite often in the group stage, played the final group stage game in the Copa America. Didn't feature in the quarter-final, semi-final, come off the bench in the final, but makes sense. They were 1-0 down to Argentina. You're going to chuck your striker on. And that's part of the reason he wants to move to a club like West Ham. The reports are suggesting that he wants to get away from Flamengo because he wants to make sure he's got his Brazilian squad place settled for the World Cup in Qatar later on this year. So a move to the Premier League seems likely for him. It makes sense why he'd want to move to European football. My sort of confusion, if you like, the things that make me doubt this is, one, we wanted him for a long time. So is it really a David Moyes pick? Because I struggle to fully buy into the idea that he's come in, David Moyes has come in, picked up the players that Pellegrini wanted and said, yeah, we'll still go after these. But he might have done. But also, everything in the background's changed. You know, the people that scouted Gabriel under Pellegrini are no longer at West Ham United. There might be one or two. I don't know if maybe Jordan Miles. Remember him, the guy that found Souček, the data guy? Maybe he was here under both managers. Maybe he's the one behind going after Barbosa. I'm not sure. But I struggle to fully buy into that David Moyes is going after the same targets that Pellegrini had as well. But then the flip side to that is we've obviously scouted him adequately over the years. So perhaps there is enough evidence there to suggest that's why we'll go get him. The loan move sort of makes sense, doesn't it? It would be low risk for West Ham. He's a striker in the Brazilian squad. He should be in the Brazil squad for the World Cup. Scoring goals this season, albeit in the Brazilian league, 13 goals in 16 games. But there's one or two things about it, isn't there? The type of striker he is. Now, I've only seen him a few times. I watched the Copa America, but like I said, he only played 90 minutes over one game. He looked alright. He looked fine in it. He looked decent enough, but he was playing for Brazil. It's a bit skewed, isn't it? You know, it's a bit like looking at Origi at Liverpool. You're probably going to look good at Liverpool because you're going to get loads of chances. It's easy to look good as a striker in these clubs or countries. Is he a David Moyes striker? I don't know. I've not seen him enough. But one thing he is a goal scorer. However, he used to play in European football. Then he went back to Brazil because he was homesick. So that's a big alarm bell right there, isn't there? That's a big warning to any club, not just West Ham. Any club pursuing him is, well, how do you know things have changed? How do you know he's going to settle? Well, we've got concerns over going after James Tarkowski because he moved from Brentford up to Burnley to be next to his family, wanting to move up north. Crikey, we've got concerns of a guy moving up England, never mind this one, moving from South America over to England. That's a completely different thing altogether. But like I said, I feel there's more reasons to believe this report than there is to dismiss it. Do I think it's true? Yeah. Kind of seen much coming from it? Not really. I think because of the concerns I've got, because of the sort of hesitations perhaps over Gabriel making the move to England and doing well in the Premier League, I can understand why West Ham would only want to pursue it as a loan move. Even the 18 months makes sense to some extent, and because if he does well in 6 months, you don't want another Jesse Lingard situation, do you? This is where we've perhaps had our fingers burnt a little bit. Loan moves have worked really well for West Ham in the past. You know, Souček being the obvious one. Jesse Lingard worked well. It was a successful loan move, but the difference is between Lingard and Souček. We sign Souček, happy days, we move on to next season. Lingard, he goes back to Man U. We've got a hole in the team. And I guess possibly the worry is that we took him for 6 months and he does well in 6 months. Then he goes back to Brazil. We've got another hole in the squad again, haven't we? We've just lost a goal scorer. How do you replace him? It gets a bit difficult. So I think the 18 months things make sense. Now the reports are that Flamengo just aren't interested in loaning him out, particularly for 18 months. They're going to reject anything that they might sell him. Find it interesting the 18-month one's been rejected rather than a loan move altogether. So perhaps there's a little bit of wiggle room there. I just wouldn't dismiss this one too easily. I still think there's an element of truth into this. I say an element, I believe the reports. Like I said, mainly because of the sources. So there you go, Gabriel linked to West Ham. 18-month loan. We'll wait and see what happens, and if there's another bid that goes in from the Hammers. But we know we want a striker, don't we? We know we want a striker. Anyway, I've got another striker to talk about as well as a winger. But before we do, this video is sponsored by the OneFootball app. A massive thank you to OneFootball. They sponsored us up until the end of the year. They got in touch just before the end of the year and said, hey, do I work together for another couple of months? A massive thank you to them. You know, myself and Guns are obviously doing this as a job now, so the sponsorship we heavily rely on. But it is a fantastic app. That's what we only work with brands we want to work with. That's important. I hope you believe that. We won't promote anything we don't want to promote. We've rejected plenty of brand deals in the past because we don't feel comfortable promoting them, or we don't think it's good value for you guys out there. But this is literally a free football app, and it's not just a free football app, it's a fantastic football app as well. So get it downloaded, links in the description and the pinned comments. It massively helps the channel out when you guys download this free app as well. It'll ask you who your favourite club is. You click on who your favourite club is, any competitions you want to follow, the Premier League, any countries you wish to support as well. It could be England, it could be Brazil if you're watching this. Then when you go into your favourites, you just click on what you want. You click on West Ham. You get all the West Ham news in there as well. They're covering Gabriel, they're covering Cabral as well, who I'm going to speak about in a minute. But also in the Premier League, you can keep up to date with all the latest big news and big headlines around the Premier League for all the other 19 clubs as well, if you so wish. Get it downloaded. Links in the description and the pinned comments of this video. Now back to the transfer rumours. This one is a transfer rumour. The first one I think is transfer news. This rumour I think it's transfer rumours. That's Cabral, another striker we've definitely heard of. Now, if you don't know who these two players are or the next one, in the description of this video, I'll put links to all their profiles over on Transfer Market, so you can go have a little look for yourself. So Cabral, Basel striker, we've been linked to him in the past, scores goals. He's someone I'm a bit more hopeful for at West Ham. I've seen a little bit more of him in European football, and I think he suits David Moyes more than what Gabriel does on the face of it. He looks like a goal scorer. And a bloody good goal scorer too, by the way. I've got concerns over Gabriel's sort of attitude on the face of it, if you like, but not so much with Cabral. Like I said in the video when we first spoke about Cabral, I've seen him limited times, looked decent enough, he didn't wow me. When I first saw Alexander Isak, for example, who's playing over in Spain at the minute and being linked to Arsenal, when I saw him play, he had a little bit of the wow factor. When you see Midjuk play for PSV, he's got a little bit of the wow factor. Cabral didn't have that. He didn't stand out to me. But from what I've read, and like I said before, I read that report in Swiss and whatever, and it was he sounds like a fantastic striker. Sounds like he fits David Moyes in the mold. A little bit aggressive. He's got that little bite about him. I like it. But the reports are that we've bid 15 million euros for him, and we're trying to get him in for 15 million at West Ham. It makes sense, I think. I do think it makes sense. I expect now, I think in the past, bar the Czech players, I think our signings have been quite well known. Areola, we've all heard of him. Jared Bowen, we've all heard of him. Said Benrahma, Kurt Zuma, we've all heard of them, haven't we? We've heard of all these players that West Ham have brought in, and David Moyes has brought in, bar Souček and Soufal, but I think Soufal is a result of Souček, and I think that Souček is a result of Jordan Miles, the data guy, the guy behind the numbers at West Ham. But I think now with the additions of Rob Newman and the other people in the background as well, we know Georges Santos, we know David Moyes' son, we know of Grant Holt as well. So they're building that scouting department at the club. I expect to see a little bit more, I want to say adventure, but knowledge in the European game, if you want. I want to see us picking up players, whether it is players like Cabral or something, where we go out there and we get in a player that if he was playing in the Premier League, it'd cost double than what we've just paid. Players like Souček, we go out there and we know about them, we find them, we get them in at a reasonable fee as well. And I think that's why when you see rumours like Cabral now, I'm not as dismissive as I used to be, especially when it ticks a lot of the sort of David Moyes MOT test, if you like. And I think Cabral does that as the type of striker he is, his age profile, the rumoured price fee. I mean, 15 million euros is not much money, is it, for a Premier League club? You know, that is what we call punt money. And I'd much rather see a gamble on someone like that than a 20 million gamble on someone from Wolves who, to be fair, he looked alright last night at Adama Traore. I mean, there was one point he's got a big hand in Wolves' goal. Then there was that time when he did he stood up, I think it was Varane he stood up too. He wiggled his legs about, did a step over and knocked the ball 8 yards out for a goal kick. He looked alright at Adama Traore. I'm joking. He did fine when he came on. It was the most, if you watch that half hour or whatever he was on the pitch last night of Adama Traore, that is Adama Traore. There's moments of just sheer power and pace, there's a few bits of quality in there, but there's also just other moments where he's just not very good. Anyway, enough about Traore. To be fair, the Daily Mail last night have reported, the Daily Mail were sort of going one step ahead of Romano and Damesh, but I don't trust their sources as much as the other two. But I wasn't going to mention it, but now I brought it up. Daily Mail reporting that we won't be making moves for Traore or Gabriel. They said no, Moyes is perhaps interested in them, but the West Ham will not move for either of those players in January. They also named some other players as well: Jonathan David, Adam Hosek, Lloyd Kelly, and Lucas Dean. They named all those 4 players and said that West Ham hold interest in them, but some of the clubs are not willing to sell until the summer unless they get an extraordinary bid. I mean, I'm pretty sure West Ham have an interest in Bruno Fernandes of Man United, but Man United won't sell him unless they get an extraordinary bid. So anyway, back to the last rumour, and this one is another rumour, and that's El Ghazi. It was like last week, but I've seen it, and it's one of those players that I wanted to discuss. I've been waiting, and now got no midweek game this week. It seems like the perfect time to get the old transfer videos out. So, El Ghazi of Aston Villa, £8 million price tag. He's alright, isn't he? He's a funny player. I think sometimes I watch him. He's good. He's effective. He works hard. He does work hard, to be fair. He does work hard. I've never seen him not work hard. But he's not... Well, he's 8 million, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? You don't really get bargains in the Premier League these days. When you buy a player from another club, there's not often errors made from the selling club anymore, is there? Because people know what they're getting and what they're buying, kind of thing. So when a player's 8 million in the Premier League, either they're getting on a bit, they're a little bit broken, they falling out with the club, or they're just unwanted, or they're average. Now, El Ghazi hasn't fallen out with Steven Gerrard. He's not getting on a bit. He's 26 years old, I think. So that just leaves... He's not that good. He doesn't suit Aston Villa. And Aston Villa have got better options than El Ghazi at the club currently. But I guess the question is, do West Ham? I think what we'll say for El Ghazi is he's different to what we've got. He's not like Jared Bowen. He's not like Pablo Fornals. He's not like Manuel Lanzini. He's not really like Vlasic. He's probably most like Benrahma than any of the other ones. But he's still not like Said Benrahma either. He's almost like a hybrid of all of those players in one. And I think he'd be... I guess the question is, what's the role of him? Is he coming in to replace Yarmolenko in the squad? Well, that would be an upgrade. He'd be far more useful to David Moyes than what Andre Yarmolenko is. So, yeah, I can see that. But 8 million is a lot of money to spend on upgrading somebody who's going to walk out for free at the end of the season, isn't it? I guess you've kind of got to do that, and you've got to look at Mark Noble and come up with a plan there as well. But... don't know. I don't really believe this one. Part of him, like, I actually think as a player, he fits what David Moyes likes, the work ethic and stuff. And the only thing that I think stops him becoming a David Moyes player, I'm not sure he's that good. I'm not sure he's good enough, if you like. He's good, but he's not that good. James Alcott, for people that watch his YouTube channel, fantastic football YouTube channel as well. He's a really good guy as well. Come on, 1 or 2 videos he's come on. He's a QPR fan, but he's contributed to a couple of our videos in the past as well. One about Declan Rice and one about West Ham staying up. But anyway, he when he does his tier list video, he's got a category. It says good, but is he good? And I think El Ghazi is the exact player to put in that category. Good, but is he good? Anyway, I'm going to shut up. Oh my god, 18 minutes. I'm really sorry. I didn't realise it was so long. Gabby Goal, shut your gob. Doesn't really make sense, does it? I tried. Tomorrow night, cup of tea. Myself and Gonzo, 7:30 on this channel. If you fancy joining us live, it's been a while. So tomorrow morning, I will put up a post, a community post on the channel, just asking for your questions. If you've got any questions, keep them and put them up in reply to that post. As much questions as possible, please. And thank you very much. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new to the channel. As for Gabby Go, I think there's a little bit more to come from this, but we'll wait and see. Catch you in a bit.